What do you feel when you see this? Do you feel scared? Do you feel saddened by nostalgia, or do you feel lustful? God, I really hope you don't. Personally, I feel inspired. It was like 2010 or something, and I walked down into the basement of my great-grandparents' house, and at the desk I see my great-grandfather on the Windows XP. Usually I'd see him playing solitaire or doing other things like browsing his files, playing with that little desktop assistant, the little golden retriever dog. I think his name was Rover. But he wasn't doing any of the usual things he typically did. What I see on the screen, though, is something truly incredible. I'm like, hey, Papa, what are you playing? And he responds, Plants vs. Zombies. My life had changed forever. My 4, maybe 5-year-old ass was astonished. I couldn't stop thinking about the game. It was like I'd just done crack for the first time. I was so hyped up. Like, their planes and their military-grade weapons, that's absolutely bonkers. I remember when I got to make my own save file, my older brother saw me at the desk and he was like, what are you doing? And I was like, oh, I'm just playing the game. And he was like, oh, I was gonna do that. No, you're always on here. He paused for a moment. He looked at me and he was like, I'm gonna kill you. Oh, that pile of bricks in the garage, yeah, I'm gonna kill you with all them. I'm gonna kill you with a fucking brick. I drew a ton of creative inspiration from this game for many years, and if I look at like old, shitty drawings of mine from when I was really young, it's very apparent that I like to combine various concepts with fruits and vegetables. Please keep in mind I was in like 3rd grade. So I found one of my old drawing notebooks. Sorry about this. But we can see that I have the alien carrot and the cabbage wizard. I used to like write in little stats for my drawings because I don't know, I was just awesome. The UFE, unidentified flying egg. I think this is pretty funny. I made a whole little series about Halloween. King Jack. This thing about summons pumpkin minions. Pumpkin minions, they summon the pumpkin roots. Pumpkin roots summon the pumpkin sprout. Pumpkin sprout summons the pumpkin plants. Pumpkin plants summon the pumpkin golem. Pumpkin Golem summons the Scarecrow Turret. Scarecrow Turret summons the Candlehead. That's not even the Candlehead. I don't know. Candlehead summons the Spooky Pumpkins. Spooky Pumpkin. Spoopy. Holy shit. Spooky Pumpkin summon the Pumpkin Mush. The Pumpkin Mush summons the Pumpkin Pie. I never drew the pumpkin. I know for a fact there's more drawings somewhere, but I think I'm gonna die of embarrassment if I keep going. Every Wednesday is when me and my family used to go over to my great-grandparents' house for dinner, and every week I'd be down there playing Plants vs. Zombies. Or Swords and Sandals, or like Stick RPG or something. But this video is about Plants vs. Zombies. The people that played Plants vs. Zombies the most were me and my older cousin. He was always ahead of me, and I remember watching him claim that glorious golden sunflower trophy. I was determined to get it for myself. I was probably munching on a Tootsie Pop or butterscotch or something, because there was always a drawer absolutely full of candy that my great-grandma had across the desk from the Windows XP. It was freaking awesome. For many years, I relied on that Windows XP to play Plants vs. Zombies, or as intellectuals call it, PvZ. I'd stopped playing eventually after a few years because I started spending time with my family on those Wednesday evenings. I know it's an absolute complete loser move, but then after many years of not playing PvZ, I had an itch in my brain, an itch to play it once again. I didn't want to play it on the Windows XP though because I felt bad not doing stuff with my family, but it took me a stupid amount of time to realize I could just get it for like $5 on Steam. And so I did, and by golly was it worth it. I actually purchased the whole PopCap Party Pack, which includes PvZ, Zuma Deluxe, Chuzzle Deluxe, Bejeweled 3, and Peggle Deluxe. Hello? Yeah, hey Bjorn. I already told you I'm going to make a video about every game in the PopCap Party Pack, so you don't really need to worry about... What? No, hold... You want the Peggle video to be that long? God. Yeah, I know. I owe you one. See you later. Okay, where were we? I purchased the PopCap Party Pack with one goal in mind: rediscover the childlike wonder that I lost years ago. That's a bit dramatic, but it's good for the video. So I did what any freshman in high school would do and played Plants vs. Zombies during history class when I very much was supposed to be paying attention, doing assignments, or taking notes. I also beat all of Portal 1 in that class on my laptop, and that was so funny. Fantastic, amazing memory, really good game. Booting up Plants vs. Zombies for the first time in years was truly was truly an out-of-body experience, and I experienced that electric jolt of creative awe I once had. But what, in particular, made this game so great? Well, sit down. We have a lot to discuss, and hopefully, I can convince you why this game Little disclaimer, I'm only going to be talking about Plants vs. Zombies 1 in this video. Game of the Year edition on Steam. Not the iPad or the iPhone versions, not the console versions, not the Nintendo DS version, even though that version is awesome too. And I'm not going to be talking about any Garden Warfare games, but if you're curious, Garden Warfare 2 is in my top 10 favorite games of all time. If you like Plants vs. Zombies 2, I'm sorry, but I really don't like it. And one more thing before we start the video. Thank you for watching. Plants vs. Zombies is a tower defense game released in 2009. I'm very sure most of you already knew that. You plant plants, defend zombies from attacking your lawn, blah blah blah. I'm going to skip over that boring exposition stuff and give you some cool little factoids about the people who worked on the game because that's more fun. The head designer of PvZ, George Fan, happens to be the creator of the game that won every single award at the Game Awards in 2001 in San Aquarium. George Fan also was considered to be nominated for a Nobel Peace Prize for this great accomplishment. Head programmer Todd Semple worked on Chaos Engine and Diablo 3, which is pretty cool. He was also involved in the making of the #1 rated movie in the world, Bat Thumb. Head artist Rich Werner is still active on social media and posts his art pretty frequently on X, or Twitter. Fuck, it's pretty great. He is responsible for drawing John Porkshooter. This one isn't a lie this time. He actually did this, and I think that's really funny. The writer for this game is Stephen Notley, and he also happens to be the writer for Peggle. No. And the woman that needs no introduction, sorry if I butcher the name, Laura Shigehara, the one responsible for creating the amazing soundtrack for this game. She also did a couple songs for Deltarune, which is pretty rad because I love Deltarune. Legend states that she unintentionally caused the death of Apollo, the Greek god of music, because The crew of this game worked their butts off, probably, to bring us the magnum opus of tower defense we know today, and I think that Plants vs. Zombies is pretty unique in that genre. Most other tower defense games that I personally see follow the formula of enemies following a typically non-linear path, and you must place troops or towers along the sides of the path where their circular range is within reach of the line the enemies walk. You can usually upgrade singular troops to make them better, and you can upgrade troops or buy more based on how much money you have. Money is usually obtained through damage done to enemies and or a set amount gained at the end of each round. But Plants vs. Zombies is quite different. There are 5 or sometimes 6 rows where you put all your plants on specific tiles rather than just anywhere the pixels allow it to fit. Most plants have a linear range where they can only attack in whatever lane they are placed in with a few exceptions. Most plants in the game you cannot upgrade in any way, but there are some unique cases that will be discussed later. The currency used to purchase plants during the main game is not gained from defeating zombies or completing a wave, with one exception. And there is a separate currency that I will talk about later, which isn't entirely necessary to beating the main game. Insert transition into gameplay. Oh, shit. Starting out level 1-1, we're shown an empty lot of dirt, very similar to the yard of my dream home because I want to get it all wet and I want to roll around in the mud like the disgusting fat little greasy piggy that I am. But someone ruins the fun and rolls out a big log of sod in the middle. Like, what the hell? I wanted to roll around in that shit. Then the game is like, take this guy, put him on your lawn, and boom, there's your first plant. The humble pea shooter. The game also tells you to pick up the solar fragments of the sun that fall down from the sky to fuel the production of more green friends. They spit peas at the zombies and you win. Very bare bones simple tutorial for a pretty damn simple game. But what the hell is that? It's a sunflower. This is your new plant. You typically gain a new plant for every single level completed throughout this game. Sunflowers will be your best friends throughout the most of the game because they harness the very solar energy that is used to accumulate your botanic army. Next level starts and dear god, they're rolling out more sod. Now it's not even going to be fun anymore to roll around in the mud. I'm so confined, and if I want to roll with a friend, they got to be like all the way across the yard. If you want to have a mud fight, which is all the time, we're going to have to throw it at each other from across the yard, but that sucks because I have no athletic capability, and he was head of the flag football team back in 8th grade. So it's not even fair that I'm going to be getting hammered in the head by mud balls while I'm pathetically slinging little globs all over my nice new sod. But this new sod means that the zombies have more ground to walk on. But it's okay, because we have sunflowers, which can give us some more sweet, sweet sun to let us splendor in more jolly pea shooters. Why don't the zombies just walk on the dirt? I don't know, maybe they don't want to get their nice shoes all dirty, or they don't want to track mud into your house if they get there. This level's beaten plain and simple, much like the last one, and we are given an absolute powerhouse, the cherry bombs. These brothers blast in a 3x3. Blast. I'll be right back. Man, if I lived in a world without Baja Blast, I think I'd probably kill myself. Our next level pretty much plays the same again, but there's a new kind of zombie called the Conehead, which has a good bit more health than a regular zombie, needing 2 pea shooters in its lane rather than 1 to take it down efficiently. Now, something that makes this game so great is its pacing. You unlock a few plants, you discover a new zombie. You unlock a few more plants, boom, another new zombie or 2. It's fantastic, very refreshing. And when this level is defeated, we add the trusty walnut to our arsenal, which acts like a shield, taking a much longer time to be eaten by zombies than the regular plants. And as we move to the next level— oh god damn it! They're putting down more sod! Who the fuck is doing this? I didn't order this! I want dirty sloppy mud to roll around and squelch my fat rolls in. Is that too much to ask? But this also means the zombies have nowhere to get their sick kicks on Muddy, so we have more ground we need to cover. But I'm absolutely goated, so this level's been easy peasy. And we get the shovel, which lets us remove plants from our lawn. I love this thing because I misplace plants all the time. A new friend, our neighbor named Crazy Dave, shows us how to use the shovel and hands us a walnut. What the hell am I gonna do with this? Go bowling? Damn it! This is another great thing about Plants vs. Zombies. The levels just shake things up out of nowhere, usually every 5 levels or so. We're being fed walnuts by a conveyor belt to throw at the zombies like a bowling ball. All while the absolutely testicle quivering banger called Loon Boon plays for us. It's absolutely incredible. These mini-game type levels are always very refreshing and helps a lot with the game's pacing. Walnut bowling is cool and all, but if I wanted to hurl nuts at rotten green freaks all day, I'd just go to— man, I need to proofread my scripts better. Another thing I like about this minigame is that it has a special kind of walnut exclusive to this minigame that's called the Explodo Nut. Red walnut go boom like cherry bomb. Whoa! We unlocked the potato mine! This is one of my favorite plants because what I like doing is using cheap insta-kill plants like the potato mine or later the squash to kill zombies really far down the lane so that I can get a lot more sunflowers before I have to start placing my heavier defense. Because I think how it works is that the first few zombies won't come out until either the first zombie is killed or it reaches a certain point in the lane. So killing them as late as possible gives me a bit more time to get more sun producers. But I'm not entirely sure if that's how it actually works. It's just my speculation, my little game theory. I could be wrong. But I'm not going to look it up because it would ruin the magic. But hey, look at that, we unlocked the Snow Pea. This is a pea shooter, but blue.
Why are you blue?
This is probably my favorite looking plant in the game. I don't know, just something about it is so awesome. It's such an appetizing blue. Blue is such an appetizing color. Maybe it's because it doesn't appear that often in nature, especially in food that we eat, at least not naturally. There's always dyes in there. And so it's almost like forbidden. This guy is nice because he can slow down zombies, and I love the sound that plays when zombies get cold. Level beaten, Chomper unlocked. This guy is another insta-kill plant, but he comes at a hefty price because he isn't instantly destroyed when he attacks, much like the potato mine or the squash. When he eats a zombie, he chews on him for like 40 seconds, I think it is, before swallowing. Then he can eat another zombie. Very useful for this level because we are introduced to Buckethead zombies who have a lot more health. So it's nice to have a Chomper. Just place a walnut in front of him and you're gold. I feel like from the moment you unlock the Chomper, the possibilities really start revealing themselves in this game. For example, you notice anything about my seeds I selected if you ignore the pea shooter? It's all insta-kill plants. The more plants you unlock throughout the game, the more different playstyles start to reveal themselves. I think this is another of the many things that keep this game fantastic. There's so many ways to challenge yourself and keep things interesting. I got a bit tired of using regular old pea shooters, so that's why I'm doing this. Shake it up, have some fun with it. This game gives you so much customizability as you go deeper into it, and it makes for a game that is really difficult to get bored of. When I was younger, I used to look at the box art that the disc came in for the game that my great-grandpa had, and in one area there was a Chomper with its mouth wide open as a zombie walked right in, and I thought it was like the funniest thing. My little brain was like, stupid zombie, that's not a cave, that's not your house, what are you doing? Yippee! We unlocked the repeater 1 pea shooter for the price of 2, but with the damage output of 2 and 1 tile. I like his eyebrows. Something else super rad about this game is the art style and the designs of everything, but I'm going to elaborate on that later down the line when we talk about the Almanac, which is probably the most charming part of this game. But Rich Werner has a really great and expressive art style if you look at his other works. Of course, he couldn't make things super duper expressive because I feel like that'd be difficult to animate for a game. At this point in the game, it's pretty apparent that the difficulty level is ramping up with tankier zombies appearing more frequently, but the final wave is no match for 3 rows of repeaters. Oh. What's this? Oh god, no. Alright, so every 10 levels you get like a final boss type level with tons of zombies and a conveyor to feed you plants. It can be a bit overkill, but honestly that just makes things more cool.
Oh golly gee, it's a mushroom!
The zombies are relentless, and they decide to try to sneak attack your house at night. Did you think they'd be marching through your yard in broad daylight for the entire game? I said this was a good game like 20 times, dumbass. Every 10 levels, the setting switches up to make things more interesting, and introduce new plants which are appropriate to the environment. And the nighttime lawn is all about mushrooms. You see, the little man we received is called the puff shroom, a small mushroom that costs 0 sun. Wow, you must be saying to yourself, that's overpowered. Well, actually, if you were an intellectual like me, you'd know it's actually not, because the puff shroom can only see about 3 tiles in front of it, meaning that it can just barely take out a normal zombie without getting a bite taken out of its head. If the first thing you planted on level 2-1 was a potato mine, you're cooked, because you'll discover soon that sun doesn't fall from the sky. It's the disadvantage of the nighttime levels, adding a bit more challenge to this section of the game. Beating this level grants the sun shroom. I wonder what that does. No way! These guys are fun. They're cheaper but produce 15 sun instead of 25, which A, makes the sun counter look really off sometimes, and B, makes them less efficient than sunflowers. At first, because after a minute they inflate and make the normal amount of sun, so it doesn't even matter. And the next up is the fume shroom, a mushroom that also has limited range, but it can pierce through enemies and screen doors. This is one of my personal favorites because piercing attacks aren't all that common among plants, and the ones that can usually pierce are one-time use explosives. I also like the noise that they make too. The Gravebuster is unlocked next, but Crazy Dave stops us and he's like, hey, I see you got some money, which hopefully you do, since I know you click the coins like a good boy. I'll sell you an extra seed slot once you have enough, and trust me, you're going to want to have this extra seed slot. It opens up the door for having more playable plant synergies and bigger plant synergies, and I flippin' love plant synergies. The Gravebuster is planted on graves and destroys them and gives you a coin worth 10 doubloons. And then we unlock one of my favorite unlockables in the game, like, ever. This is the Almanac, a book which can tell you all about the plants and zombies' stats and a bit about their personal lives outside of the lawn when they're off the job. I'm going to talk about this a bit more near the end of the video once we have all the mainline plants unlocked. In the next level, Crazy Dave hands us a mallet and starts talking about how he uses it to brutally shatter and splatter the skulls of the scorbos. And while personally, I would use it to hit, but we have to whack the zombies. Wait. Say that again. The zombies will rise out of the ground and get faster and faster as the level goes on, sometimes dropping sun, which you can use for potato mines for some reason, cherry bombs to clear crowds, and grave busters to clear the rising graves, and give you a few extra coins. You're given options, and that's pretty neat. Hypno Shroom, yay! Zombies eat it, and then they turn around and start eating the other zombies in the lane until those zombies themselves get eaten out. Until the zombie gets out-eaten. This level introduces the football zombie for us to try it on. Wowee. Scaredy Shroom. It's like a super cheap pea shooter that'll stop attacking and hide when zombies are in any of the 8 tiles around it. My only complaint about this guy is that the zombies still eat it when he hides, and I kind of wish they just walk on past him. But then it probably would cost more than just 25 sun, so I guess it doesn't really matter. Unlocking the ice shroom next is fun and all, but like, this guy? The disco zombie is awesome, and he's the best zombie to use the hypno shroom on. Just watch this. That is so cool. Alright, next plant, this is the Doom Shroom. I took like 27 BuzzFeed quizzes when I was like 8 years old to see which Plants vs. Zombies character I was. And I got this guy on a few of them, and I was like genuinely scared I'd accidentally kill somebody if I got too angry. Now this shroom brings the boom, and that boom brings a crater, which does not let you plant plants until later. A tyrannic force of hate and rage, the shroom will— oh hey, another note! We'd like to visit for a midnight snack. Okay, how does ice cream? Yeah, ice cream seems nice. And brains sound— what? Brains? The annual conveyor belt final battle is here, but this time with mushrooms only. I got immediately cluttered with one-time use plants, and it was honestly really annoying. Alright, that's done with. Where could the zombies possibly go now? What is that, like a rug? I mean, I guess I'll find out. I have a backyard? Oh yeah, baby. Shit's getting turned up to 10 because this is my favorite segment in the whole game, the pool. Our friend the lily pad is essential for these levels. You know how I bought an extra seed slot earlier? Well, you'll want to buy the seed slot upgrades whenever they come by, because on the pool levels, one of your seed slots will always be filled by the lily pad, making you possibly unable to execute a plant synergy you want due to lack of space in your selected seeds. The pool just adds a whole nother lane into the mix, and that may sound stressful at first, but then you realize that's more space for sunflowers. and it's just a whole lot more fun. The pool levels have my favorite background out of all the levels. This water just looks delicious, just like the snow pea. And there's just something about that patio and the fence that make me go, oh yeah, oh hell yeah. Potato mines cannot be placed in the pool, and your mushrooms will fall asleep during the day, and you do not have the ability to wake them up. Yet. But other than that, everything is pretty much the same. There are just enough changes between levels to where it's not too much, but not too little, and I appreciate the simplicity. And we unlock the squash next. Another cheap insta-kill plant that will help us in stalling for time for more sun. We also unlock the minigames tab, which will be discussed later. After smothering some zombies with a gourd's ass that is probably covered in warts, we unlock perhaps my favorite plant in the game, the 3-peater. An expensive pea shooter that spits out peas into 3 different lanes. That shit is beyond cool to me. I don't know why, it just is. It's so simple, but it's one of those things that you love so much you just can't describe it. Maybe I should just try to show you. There are peas everywhere, and you haven't even seen the best of it. But that's for later. The Tangle Kelp is for now. A cheap plant that grabs the first zombie it touches and instantly kills it by drowning it with excessive force. Jesus Christ, you never really think about how brutal that is until you say it out loud. These scuba diver zombies that showed up in the last level are annoying, but thankfully are fully hard countered by the Tangle Kelp. I'm gonna go on a little side tangent real quick. The song that plays during the normal pool levels is called Watery Graves. It's my personal top 3 tracks in the whole game. And I recently came across a mashup between this song and Dilemma by Nelly, and I love it. The same guy did other PvZ song mashups like Moongrains x Billie Jean or Ballin' on Your Lawn, and there's a mashup for almost every main song in the soundtrack. It is so goofy and it is so great. I love the internet. Go subscribe to Flex Swift. The zombies drop Crazy Dave's car keys and we can go pop open his trunk to buy his goodies, or as he says, his Twitty Dinkies. Here you can buy more seed slots, a rake, plant upgrades, and the pool skimmer. I didn't mention it earlier, but you have these lawnmowers that will kill any zombie in their lanes if the zombie gets too far, but they don't work in the pool, so you need to buy the pool skimmer for that. Now I had $5,000 saved at this point, and any smart person would take the extra seed slot. I took the twin sunflower, but more on that later. The next level is another special little seed conveyor minigame, where there's a lot of zombies, but they're little. And here we can see that the game refuses to give me any plants that I can actually use to kill those zombies for an annoying amount of time. No, I don't need 6 lily pads yet, I need more pea shooters. Thankfully, these little zombies have much less health than regular ones. This is a funny little level that isn't much of a challenge that rewards us with the jalapeno. Another plant full of anger and rage that a BuzzFeed quiz told me I was when I was younger that also made me scared I'd kill somebody. This plant is very nice and useful. It can clear out a whole lane of zombies and directly counters the new zombie, whose name I always forget. But he rides on a big hockey rink ice thing. He trails snow behind him and has a lot of health and crushes the plants he comes into contact with. Now back to the twin sunflower. These kinds of plants cannot be placed on their own and can only be planted on top of the plant that they are upgrading. The twin sunflower is a sunflower that, you guessed it, has a twin, meaning 2 sun from 1 sunflower for the price of 3 sunflower. I did not use this as much as I should have throughout this playthrough. I don't think I really needed the jalapeno by the end of the level because of the sheer amount of peas, but I used it anyway because it's cool. The spikeweed is unlocked, and I'm going to do something stupid this level and use only spikeweeds and potato mines to complete it. But spikeweed cannot be planted on top of lily pads, so I'm just going to use tangle kelp and pea shooters, but only in the pool. Now I realized something kind of weird. It typically takes 2 spikeweeds to kill a normal zombie, but sometimes it takes 3. And for the first cone head of the level, it took 6 spikeweeds to kill, but the next one only took 5. And there isn't enough space on the grid to have enough spikeweeds to kill a bucket head without using walnuts or other zombie stalling methods. But why is this? What explains this inconsistency with the spikeweed? Well, I have a theory. Have you ever noticed how the plants bob back and forth? Well, I think this is because they all move in slightly different speeds with each other. Their bobbing can be synchronized for a second, but will always desynchronize on their own eventually, whether they are attacking or not. Oh well, but if it depends on the time that they're planted. You can't place multiple plants at the same time. Wrong! In a mini game called Call 'em Like You See 'em, amazing name by the way, one single plant will plant that same plant in a column, yeah? Yeah, you see what I'm getting at here? At the exact same time. And they do not bob up and down in sync. So this leads me to believe, if all the plants have slightly different values for which speeds they bob up and down, does this mean that each zombie has a slightly different value for how fast they walk? This would explain why sometimes a normal zombie can barely just make it past 2 spikeweeds, or why a conehead could just barely make it past 5 spikeweeds. I tried to see if there's any discussion about this online, but I really couldn't find it anywhere, but I might just be bad at looking for things. Spikeweeds can also sacrifice their own lives in order to instantly kill one of the snow truck dudes by popping their wheels, because it is common knowledge that when you pop a wheel of a vehicle, it will instantly explode into a cloud of blue smoke as parts go flying everywhere. Using only spikeweeds
Spikeweeds was actually really fun and engaging. It was a fun way to make the game harder for myself. Some people want to be as efficient or fast as possible to beat the game, which you can do, or people just want to be silly and goofy with their strategies, or people want to challenge themselves by selecting very limited plans. It's a video game, play it how you want. There isn't one correct way to play it, and I think that's why this game is stuck with so many people. Oh baby, things are getting spicy. Jesus Christ, is it obvious that I have morning voice right now? Torchwood go in front of pea shooter, light pea on fire, double damage. When I was young, I looked at the flaming peas and always thought they kind of looked like burning film reel, but I'm also now realizing that they kind of look like cookies. These flaming peas also deal splash damage.
Tall nut.
Tall nut is a walnut, but taller and tankier. The height difference is actually important because it blocks zombies that attempt to jump over it, dismounting them from whatever they are trying to use to jump. Primarily in the pool levels, the Dolphin Rider zombie. Let me tell you, I had nightmares about this thing when I was a wee lad. I was genuinely scared of it. I'd always look away when I heard that devilish cry. But besides that, these things are really annoying to deal with sometimes. I don't typically bring walnuts or tall nuts into levels unless there's like a pogo zombie, which we will talk about later. They're fast, so you gotta think quick if you don't have the right defensive measures like myself. Usually I'll just plop down a lily pad at the front. The lily pad. That is so fucking hard for me to say. Usually I'll plop down a lily pad at the front of the pool so it just jumps over it instantly, losing the dolphin. But in that previous level, they just kept coming one after another, so I couldn't use my lily pads all the time because they were on cooldown. But this led me to discover that the squash counters them pretty well. Long story short, use defensive plants more often for better chances of survival. Oh great, it's another note. We heard you're having a pool party and we think that's fun. We'll be right over. Well, this is just absurd. If the zombies knew me at all, they know that I can't swim. The only reason that I have this pool is because my ex-wife installed it. Final pool level, battle conveyor level, woo! Here you finally get to see the true power of the 3-peater and the Torchwood synergy. But not before I have to restart the level because the conveyor, once again, refuses to give me an offensive plant before it's too late. It finally gave me a 3-peater and I thought about it for a second before coming to the conclusion that it would just be better if I restarted the level. God, this is why I love the pool level so much. And it seems the zombies have left behind a little green specimen. Oh my god, it's another mushroom. You know what that means. But first, let's go over a few minigames. You're only able to play 3 minigames at first, but once you beat the game for the first time, all of the other ones are unlocked. The first one listed is Zombotany, a front yard daytime level where the zombies have plant heads, more specifically pea shooter and walnut. Pea shooter zombies shoot peas at your plants, dealing a very small amount of damage to them. Too many peas and your plant is gone. It's a good idea to use walnuts on this level. Speaking of which, the walnut head zombie has a lot of health. It's cool, it's quirky, but it's not that hard. The next is Walnut Bowling. Now we've played Walnut Bowling before, way back in the first few levels of the game, but this Walnut Bowling is harder than the one you played in Adventure Mode. And quite honestly, it was harder than any other level I had played so far. I mean, that isn't saying too much because most of Plants vs. Zombies isn't that challenging, but whatever. The third minigame in this list is
Let's go gambling!
It costs 25 sun to pull this lever, and you have the chance of getting some pea shooters, walnuts, snow peas, or sunflowers with the goal of reaching 2,000 sun, which can take anywhere from like 10 minutes to 30 minutes depending on how lucky you are.
Aw, dang it! 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 Aw, dang it!
Took me a while because I didn't get many sunflowers and I kept getting snow peas. You know what's always really bothered me about this minigame? Take a look at this pea shooter. Notice anything strange about him? I do. I always have, from when I was very young. Why does he have the repeater tufts? It's not a repeater. You can't get repeaters in this game mode. And he doesn't have the eyebrows either. It's just a pea shooter with the little tufts. Why is it like that? As I said before, the rest of the minigames are unlocked once you beat the main adventure mode for the first time. At this point, I had enough coins to buy another seed slot, the Gatling Pea, and the pool skimmer. I'll go over the Gatling Pea later. Going back to main adventure mode, what do you think the zombies are up to now? At this point, how do you think they'll try to infiltrate your home? Well, they're using the pool again, but at night. But also this time, there's a thick layer of fog near the front of your lawn, blocking 98% of the vision for that area. Now, I have a confession. I forgot to record for the first level of this segment of the game, and I'm sorry. But the level isn't too interesting. It's just your standard introduction.
Our newest plant, the sea shroom, is a puff shroom that can be placed on the water, but for some reason it has a crazy slow recharge. But at least we can use all of our mushrooms again. Level 4-1 rewards us with the planter, the most niche plant in the game and probably the most useless. It is a plant that provides light, clearing away the fog. That is all it does. It doesn't attack or anything, it just sits there. It should at least be a little tanky and be able to withstand zombies' attacks more than the average plant. Not quite as much as a walnut, but like more than like a pea shooter. There are now these jack-in-the-box zombies. The speedy little asshole will start cranking his shit like crazy. And if you let him jack his box enough, it'll blow out and he'll just explode everywhere. And it'll destroy all plants in a 3x3 area around him. This thing is really the only reason you need the planterns. If you don't have enough planterns, you won't be able to see that chronic cranker before it's too late to take proper defensive measures. We unlock the cactus, and it's literally just a pea shooter that has a single new attribute, and that is to counter the new zombie, the balloon zombie. And it just looks a lot cooler. When I was younger, I used cacti more often than pea shooters because of that. It just looked cool. The balloon zombie is a zombie that rides a balloon. Wow. There are only 2 ways to dispose of them, and one obviously is the cactus. It's not like I've already said that or anything. If a cactus and a balloon zombie are in the same lane, the cactus will grow taller and shoot at the balloon to pop it, making the zombie come to the ground and act like just any other zombie. The other way to counter it is with our next plant, the blower. A clover that blows away any balloon zombie on screen and temporarily blows away all of the fog. This is another plant that serves a very niche purpose, much like the planter. Holy shit. Okay, I forgot about this. This is Crazy Dave's Magic Taco, and he pays us $1,000 for it. Why on earth did he give us this much for a taco? Oh. Dave also has a few new items in his shop. New plant upgrades. The Gloom Shroom and the Cattail. The next level takes us back to the front yard where there's a lot of ceramic vases. We need to click on them to see what's inside. It'll either be a plant or a zombie. There is almost no way of knowing. It's an exhilarating little game that keeps you on your toes. Now Dave tells us not to break them too fast, but as you can see, I like cracking those things open like Tito when his NFL playoff tickets got ripped.
Tito's AFC Championship tickets. Come on.
It's not that serious, it's a joke! This is a real reaction. This is a real reaction. This is a real reaction.
I really hope someone knows what this is. God bless the old days of the old Super Mario Logan crew. There's these green vases that guarantee plants. I love smashing them as fast as possible because it gives me just a little tingle in my gonads. We unlock what is, in my opinion, the dumbest plant in the game, the split pea. But, I must admit, I would hate it a lot more if it didn't look so silly. I mean, look at him. He does not have a single thought behind those eyes. The nighttime pool levels are just full of these niche little plants that have very little practical use. This thing is mainly to counter the miner zombie, a zombie that digs under the ground and resurfaces at the very end of the lawn but walks towards all of the approaching plants, eating out your defenses. God damn it. They really aren't that big of a deal because they spin out of the ground and stun themselves for a second before they start munching. It gives you a good amount of time to put up your proper defensive measures if you haven't already. You could probably just use squashes or potato mines and be completely fine. But we finally get a plant that isn't super niche and can be used in any setting. The starfruit. It does as much damage as a pea shooter but shoots little stars in 5 different directions at once. 1 straight behind, 1 straight up, 1 straight down, and 2 diagonally in front of it. It's a very fun plant, but it can be a little tricky to get used to, and it's used best when you have a lot of them. They're a pretty decent counter for miner zombies as well. Pumpkin. Now this is a really good plant. It acts like a walnut, but instead of putting it in front of a plant, you can just put it on top of the plant. Now they'll be all cozy and protected. But now we have to deal with this bitch! This was my biggest enemy when I was younger. I hated the Pogo Zombie so much. It's a fast zombie that can jump over plants an unlimited amount of times until it's either killed, hits a tall nut, or has the pogo stick taken from it by a magnet shroom. A mushroom that will disarm any zombie that is armored with metal. This includes buckets from bucket heads, football helmets from football zombies, pickaxes from miners, jack-in-the-boxes from those guys, and pogo sticks from pogo zombies. When I was younger, I had no idea why they called it the magnet shroom, but now I can take a closer look with my big kid peepers. And I think it's just a magnet with eyeballs sitting on top of a mushroom. This thing is really useful. It strips away the power from your biggest inconveniences, making them no more threatening than what you've been dealing with since the very beginning. The zombies deliver us yet another note. Hello, this is your mother. Oh, Jesus Christ. Okay, man. At the age of 9, I watched my mother crawl down into a manhole like a spider when we visited Boston during the fall. And I asked my dad where she went, and he just insisted that I never had a mother, and I never fucking saw her again. So clearly, this is a mere fabrication. Conveyor time. This level is really weird. We can almost never see the screen except for when the lightning of the ongoing storm strikes in the distance. It's a really interesting concept and one of the most unique things to come out of the whole set of 10 levels. The best part of this final level is not being able to see the Jack-in-the-Box zombies, but you can still hear them. I have always personally felt that this set of 10 levels are the weakest section in all of Plants vs. Zombies. I have some problems with it, such as the fog just being really annoying. A couple of the plants are just too niche, and the new zombies are clearly just there so that the niche plants actually have a justified existence, and so on and so forth. Do I hate it? No, absolutely not. But am I happy it's over? Yeah. But fear not, little one. Yes! Woo! The next set of levels brings us back full force with a really unique environment, the roof. We meet lots of new zombies and discover more plants that are very versatile and can serve function in a vast number of scenarios. This is the final set of levels in adventure mode, but all we gotta do is play it like any other level, right?
Wrong!
Most of your plants don't even work on half the map because they collide with the slanted roof. That's why we were given the cabbage pole as our first plant. It lobs cabbage over the slant at zombies. Although it does as much damage as a pea shooter, it attacks a bit slower, adding another layer of difficulty onto the game. If you want to use your straight fire plants like pea shooters, you gotta plant them at least halfway up the roof. Not to mention we have these little pots, which are basically the roof's version of the lily pad, except we have to use it all over the entire grid instead of just 2 lanes. Speaking of lanes, we're back to the classic 5-lane map. Now back to those little pots. You might be wondering, what if the zombies eat one? Is it just gonna be gone for the rest of the level? Well, if you ask that, you're freaking stupid, because that's our next plant we unlock. Crazy Dave pulls us aside and shows us even more items in his shop. The roof cleaners, which are the roof equivalent of the lawnmowers, and 2 new plant upgrades, the spike rock and the golden magnet. In the next level, I'm going to showcase the Gatling Pea upgrade, which I bought a while back using the money I gained from selling my body to Crazy Dave. The Gatling Pea upgrade is placed on top of a repeater for 250 sun, meaning it costs a total of 450 sun to fully plant down. Notice anything different about this level? We only have 4 rows of pots instead. Now our pre-placed front row of pots is 1 column too far back for our peas to actually be able to fly freely. So we need to add another 25 sun to put down a pot for our repeaters. 475. Sun for 1 plant, you know, that sounds good to me. God damn it, get out of here. What are you doing? What the hell is that? No! Bungee zombies. These little shitheads come down from the sky and steal your plants like they're... Oh, I'm not saying that. The Colonel Polt. Christmas is all about green beans and creamed corn? Colonel Polts do a small amount of damage and has a 25% chance to lob a big chunk of butter that deals a normal amount of damage and stuns zombies for 5 seconds. These things are pretty powerful, honestly, a little overpowered, and putting down like 2 rows of them is usually enough to make a level easy. Alright, in case you were wondering, no, the cactus does not grow taller in order to shoot over the roof slant, but I really wish it did. So sadly, we do not need the cactus in these levels because there are no balloon zombies or anything that it... Fuck. There are now these ladder zombies. They quickly carry a ladder using it as a shield. The ladder will be placed on the first plant that the zombie encounters, giving itself and all other zombies the ability to just easily climb on over the plant. Magnet shrooms and insta-kill plants are a good counter. But wait, we can't use the magnet shroom, it's daytime.
Wrong!
Well, the next friend we receive is the coffee bean. The coffee bean allows us to use our mushrooms in the daytime for an extra 75 sun. So me being the little smarty pants I am, I took notice of a football zombie that stood there as we chose our seeds. I decided the best and most beneficial counter would be the hypno shroom. Now, as I said before, the coffee bean is 75 sun, which doesn't sound like a lot, but just remember that you need to place a pot, the mushroom, and the coffee bean. The sun you spend racks up fast, so that's why I think using things like the hypno shroom, the ice shroom, or the doom shroom that have a very large area of effect, you know, I think those are most beneficial. Using a fume shroom isn't a bad idea either, especially if you have the plant upgrade for it, the gloom shroom, which is a really good plant. I had a bit of a close call in this level and definitely would have lost if I didn't bring along tall nuts. But thankfully, the tall nut clutched up, awarding us a watering can. Oh boy, this grants access to a really amazing optional part of the game. This is the Zen Garden, a place where you can nurture your own plants by watering them, feeding them fertilizer, that's not how you spell it, and giving them whatever else they desire. All of those materials can be purchased from Crazy Dave. In exchange for taking care of the plants, you receive a good amount of coins too. You can buy more plants from Crazy Dave, but there are always going to be marigolds of varying color. Later on, as you work on your Zen Garden more, you unlock a lot more things. Zombies in any level will have the chance of dropping a little gift box that has a little pot with a sprout in it. This is a plant in your Zen Garden that isn't a marigold, indicated by the lack of a small flower on top. There are also deeper levels of the Zen Garden to unlock via Crazy Dave's shop, such as the nighttime area for mushrooms, an aquarium for aquatic plants, and the Tree of Wisdom. The Tree of Wisdom starts out quite small when purchased, but you can purchase special substances that are probably illegal. And as you pump him up with more and more of this stuff, he tells you neat little tips and factoids about the game. The tree is done spewing new wisdom once it reaches around height 100, I believe. Now within the base level of the Zen Garden, you can purchase a snail named Stinky. This is a direct reference to the snail purchasable and insane aquarium of the same name. George W. Bush wanted to give Stinky the snail a Medal of Honor back when Insane Aquarium first released, but they didn't let him, claiming that Stinky was just a video game character and not a real person. George W. Bush took his own life later that day, meaning that President Bush never got to see Stinky be released as a part of Plants vs. Zombies. Rest in peace, George W. Bush. You would have loved Plants vs. Zombies. Stinky the snail slowly makes his way around the Zen Garden, collecting any coins on the ground. Stinky will fall asleep sometimes at the bottom of the screen, but all you gotta do is just click on his shell and he'll wake up. You can speed up Stinky significantly by feeding him a chocolate bar. This is an homage to George W. Bush. During his time in office, he ate a chocolate bar after every meal of the day, claiming it was the source of his powers. But in order to feed Stinky these chocolate bars, you need to find them first. After purchasing Stinky, zombies have a very small chance to drop a chocolate bar when defeated. Some other things about the Zen Garden you might want to know. After a plant is fully taken care of, they have a little glow around them. This glow indicates that they can randomly drop coins. So if you have a full Zen Garden with fully nourished plants, you can just AFK for a bit while Stinky goes around and does all the work. There's a watering can upgrade that can be purchased. It lets you water plants in a 2x2 area rather than just one at a time. The Zen Garden is a great way to unwind, and sometimes I find myself booting up the game just to check in on it. Now, coming back to adventure mode, Crazy Dave tells us that we are going to hate this level and that it has a lot of bungee zombies. Well, I didn't hate it, but I will say there's chompers. A lot of chompers. You only get like 4 plants in this level, and it's a lot of waiting to get these fat asses to finish chewing so they can eat another zombie. But a few cherry bombs later, and we receive the garlic. It's a goofy little guy with a little bit more health than the average plant, and zombies who take a bite out of it have like a visceral reaction and then they'll move to one of the lanes next to it. I didn't see a need to use the garlic in the playthrough, which was stupid because I knew I was going to be doing this for a video, so I don't know why I did it. I don't know, kind of stupid of me. But the garlic can be used later down the line when you do a second playthrough of the game, because you have the ability to choose from any of the plants that you have unlocked. Something I never really noticed until now is how much longer the roof levels are. It usually took me like an hour to get through each of the other segments of the game, but the roof took me like 2 hours. I really don't mind this though, because the levels are quite a bit harder as well. I had a few close calls throughout this section, and I really needed to think harder. Alright, so now there's this really cool zombie that launches basketballs out of a catapult at our backline plants. It's a little tanky, and it can be very detrimental for us if we don't take care of it. But quite fortunately, the umbrella leaf has our back. A plant that guards all other plants in a 3x3 area around it from any attack raining from above, bouncing both bungee zombies and basketballs out of the way, because nothing says get the fuck off of me like an expanding raster image. I usually have them protect my sunflowers and the last line defensive plants. Using the umbrella leaf usually means that I have 2 less spots for sunflowers though, and that's kind of saddening. But it's either have 2 less sunflowers for the whole level, or have to constantly replace my sunflowers because they're being hit in the face with balls. God, I wish I was them. Alright, little unrelated thing. Fume shrooms are awesome on these levels because they pierce through the massive crowds of zombies, and they can pierce through the ladders as well. Okay, so the marigold is kind of weird. It periodically makes silver coins, but sometimes gold coins. But I didn't use it because I don't find it that useful. For these things to actually be worth it, in my opinion, you should have like a bunch of them. But since these levels are much harder than the previous 40 levels, there isn't a safe moment to place down a lot of them. This is just a personal thing though. Maybe they are worth it. I don't know. Maybe you just want to have them for fun. I don't care. Go ahead and use them. I have bigger fish to fry. Much bigger fish. Gargantuars are massive zombies with a shit ton of health. The fastest way to take them down is by using 2 insta-kill plants back to back as fast as possible. While you plebs might be thinking, oh, I'll just use one and then wait for the other to recharge. Hooray, till I have enough sun to use another one. I advise against this, as there is a little man in the Gargantuar's back that will be flung at your 3rd column of plants once the Gargantuar reaches below 50% health, I think. This is called an imp. And although they are smaller and have less health, they are faster and will instantly breach your front lines with ease, making its way to the back of your roof quite fast. And once a Gargantuar reaches one of your plants, he'll wind up and instantly smash it into the ground, destroying it. But thankfully, my 3 curdle pulls stunned him enough for me to hit him with the Doom Shroom. Here we can see me pull off what they call a power move. I hit him with the old 1-2, and he dropped us our final plant from adventure mode. This is a powerhouse called the Melon Pult. If you learned anything from our friends the cabbage and the corn, you can safely assume what this plant does. Melon Pults deal a heavy amount of damage on direct contact, and deal a small amount of splash damage around it. Imagine, if you will, you're walking along, minding your business, and out of the sky, a couple of massive melons get smashed into your face. I'm sure President Bush would have loved that. But now instead, imagine they're watermelons. Now the melon pulse will make light work of anything that is thrown at you, especially if you have twin sunflowers to help you keep up with the hefty 300 sun cost. But as you can see, the melon pulse literally has no issue dealing with my massive hordes of zombies until... This is the closest we've come to failing an adventure mode level so far. And it was scary, but the roof cleaners thankfully can deal with something as big as this guy. And from this final behemoth, we receive our final letter from the zombies. Oh my god. I can't read cursive! What the hell is going on? Nobody's here! Holy shit! This is it. The final battle. Dr. Zomboss's giant zombie mech is deploying troops. We gotta defend it with the catapult plants that we are given. When his head bends down, you better be vigilant. If his eyes turn blue, he'll spit an ice ball down a lane that can be destroyed by a jalapeno. Or if his eyes turn red, he spits a fireball down the lane, which could be destroyed with an ice shroom. Do as much damage as you can to the mech's head until he rises back up. He'll pull some real bullshit on you, like deploying bungees, stomping on plants, and throwing a fucking RV. God damn! And he drops down like 4 gargantuars at a time. What the hell, man? Just keep lobbing, keep icing, keep burning. The damage bar goes higher and higher. Almost there. One last onslaught ensues, frozen in place. He can't do a thing. It's ours. Our lawn is safe. For now. The zombies give us one last letter with a gift attached. A music video to play as the credits roll. A delightful little song called Zombies on Your Lawn, sung by a sunflower voiced by none other than the God Slayer herself, Laura Shigehara. As the credits disappear, we are told by the game that all of the other minigames are unlocked. We've unlocked the puzzle tab and the survival tab, and more items are in Crazy Dave's shop. All the Zen Garden stuff I mentioned earlier, 2 final plant upgrades, the Imitator, and the Walnut First Aid Kit. The Imitator allows you to take 2 of a single seed into a single level, so you don't have to wait for the cooldown as much. The Walnut First Aid Kit lets you place a fresh walnut on top of injured walnuts, refreshing their health without having to wait for it to be fully eaten or having to shovel it up first. The Walnut First Aid Kit works on walnuts, tall nuts, pumpkins, garlic, and probably something else I'm forgetting. And the final plant upgrades are the Winter Melon and the Corn Cob Cannon. The Puzzles tab gives you a ton of levels of Vasebreaker to play, including an endless mode. And there's a new mode called iZombie as well, a game mode where you play as zombies trying to take out all the plants by strategically placing zombies in a certain order and orientation. And you gain sun to purchase these zombies by eating the sunflowers. The Survival tab is really awesome. You have a survival mode of every single setting of the game. In the normal survival modes, you need to survive 5 flags of zombies. Now once you complete the normal survival modes, the hard modes unlock, where you need to complete 10 flags instead of 5. It's a lot harder. And then you unlock Survival Endless, an endless survival mode that only takes place at the pool. And this is so much fun. So much fun. Alright, now, let's talk about the rest of the minigames. It's Raining Seeds, a fog level where random seeds will fall from the sky and you must survive off of only the seeds that you are given. Bejeweled but Tower Defense. Each match grants an amount of sun which can either upgrade your plants or reshuffle all the plants on the board. Invisible. All of the zombies are invisible. I hate this one. Seeing Stars. Plant starfruit in the shape of a star to win. Zombaquarium. Yes! Fuck yeah! Begooled Twist. It's begooled, but you can only make matches by rotating the plants clockwise in a 2x2 area. Make a certain amount of matches to win. Same thing, you get the sun to upgrade your plants, reshuffle, blah, 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 blah. Big Trouble Little Zombie. Lots of little zombies. That's it, they're little and they have less health. Portal Combat, a nighttime level where there's just portals that spawn and you have to shoot through the portals and the zombies can walk through the portals. It's really fun. Call them like you see them. I mentioned this earlier, but every plant you plant plants that same plant in the entire column. Bobsled Bonanza. There's a lot of the snow truck guys, and there's a lot of the guys in the bobsleds, which I don't think I actually even talked about. Zombie Nimble, Zombie Quick. The whole game is just a lot faster. It's a lot of fun, and you gotta really be paying attention. Whack-a-Zombie. It's Whack-a-Zombie, but harder. Last Stand. You cannot use any sun-producing plants, and you must survive based on the sun that you were given every single wave. You start out with a lot, but gradually you get a small amount of sun after every single wave. Zombotany 2 is a harder version of Zombotany, introducing the Squash Head Zombie, the Jalapeno Head Zombie, the Tall Nut Head Zombie, and the Gatling Pea Zombie. I'm pretty sure you can imagine what all of those do. Walnut Bowling 2. It's Walnut Bowling, but harder. And there's another new kind of walnut, the Big Walnut, that cannot bounce off of zombies, and it just goes in the lane and it crushes everything. Pogo Party. Oh my god, I hate Pogo Party so much. There's so many Pogo Zombies, it's so fucking annoying. Dr. Zomboss's Revenge, you replay the boss battle, and it's harder. And then we have all the plant upgrades we didn't discuss. We discussed the Gatling Pea and the Twin Sunflower, but we didn't go over the Gloom Shroom, Cattail, Wintermelon, Gold Magnet, Spike Rock, or Cob Cannon. The Gloom Shroom is placed on top of a Fume Shroom and does heavy damage in the 8 tiles around it. This is best used with the garlic in front of it and a pumpkin shell around it. The cattail is planted on top of a lily pad and it shoots spikes at zombies that home in on the nearest one. The golden magnet is placed on top of a magnet shroom and it only attracts coins, and it's best used with a marigold. A lot of marigolds.
The Spike Rock is placed on top of a Spikeweed, doing more damage than a regular Spikeweed, but also being able to withstand 3 attacks. Those attacks being popping the wheels of a snow truck guy or 3 Gargantuar smashes.
The Wintermelon is planted on top of a melon pult and does very heavy damage and freezes zombies around it, slowing them down, but it also fires a bit slower. These are probably just the best plant in the game. And finally, the Corn Cob Cannon is planted on top of 2 kernel pults. Yes, it takes up 2 spaces, the only plant in the game that does this. And if you click on it, your cursor will change into a little bullseye thing. And wherever you click, it'll prime, it'll shoot a corn cob up in the air, and it'll land in the spot you click, destroying everything around it.
So you may be wondering, what's the point of all these plant upgrades after we've already beaten the game? Well, of course, there's the survival modes you can complete, but also, if you start adventure mode all over again, you'll be sent back to level 1-1. But instead of only having a pea shooter, you can select from any of the plants that you have unlocked throughout the entire game. Think of it as a sort of New Game Plus. And in this New Game Plus, there will always be 3 plants that have to be selected throughout a level. You cannot take them out, but you don't have to use them either. I think it is pretty fun to use those 3 pre-chosen plants to the best of your ability. It adds a very interesting challenge to the game.
Dialing it back for a second, and I want to spew my heart out a little bit, and I just want to take some time and go over my favorite part of this game, and that is the Almanac. It's a little book that I mentioned earlier, and it's truly the most charming and lovely little part of this game. Here we can look at the descriptions and the stats of every single plant, and below each of their stats we can see just a little bit about them personally. Who they are as people, what they like to do, their stories. And the same thing for the zombies as well. It really just shows how much love was put into this game. This whole little book oozes so much personality. It just really shows how much care was put into this. Not only can we admire the personality of these plants, but just look at them. Observe their movement cycles and just, man, I love it. I love it so much. And reading these little blurbs about their lives, it complements the art style so well. It's so fitting. Some of my favorite entries in here are just so fun and creative, like the Ice Shroom, his face being paralyzed from a young age, and that's why he always looks angry. That's why he always frowns. The Three-Peter likes backgammon and reading and long periods of immobility in the park. He loves modern jazz and his favorite number is 5. He's just looking for that special someone. And the Pumpkin Shell. Pumpkin hasn't heard from his cousin Renfield lately. Apparently Renfield's a big star, some kind of Peggle master. Fuck, I love Peggle. Some more really great ones include the Torchwood, the Cactus, the Potato Mine, the Garlic, the Cob Cannon. And it's just, man, and all of them are just interesting. All of them are just so full of love. It's not even mentioning the zombies like the Gargantuar. He's just looking for a girlfriend, man. I talked about it at the beginning of the video, how this game impacted me creatively. And it truly did, in so many ways that are so hard to describe. I find myself looking back on this game constantly. I've talked a lot in this video, and there's still more that I could go even deeper into. Like the Zombitar, where you make your own zombie, all the different achievements, and the secret Yeti zombie. Like, there's so many little things that were put into this game that just... I sound like a broken record, but it oozes love and it oozes passion. I love Plants vs. Zombies so much. It's one of those games that I will never get tired of. It was so influential on so many childhoods and influential on the whole genre. It's a game that constantly throws new things at you, but not too much to the point where you're like, man, this sucks. No, it has perfect pacing. It has a lot of great humor. It has almost everything that I could ever want out of just a silly little simple game. So yeah, I like Plants vs. Zombies a lot. Thank you for watching. Bye bye. I love you.